Hello, I'm Reverend Mark William Ennis. I thank you for watching this video. This is video 1 of 7. I'll be doing some short readings from my new book, Out of the Wilderness, Honoring His Abusive Christian Father and Mother. It is published by Christian Faith Publishing. So, where did this book come from? This book is a story about a man I did pastoral counseling with. And at first, it was hard to believe the life he had. But I've met his family, and I believe every word the man told me. He grew up in what looked like a wonderful Christian family. Both his mother and father were very abusive to him. This man that I met with in counseling, he said to me, "How do I take the fifth commandment seriously about honoring your father and your mother when they've treated me like this?" And it's something he wrestled with. And yet, when the time came, he stepped up and he did honor his parents, especially when his mother was in need. And that's where we're going to start. His mother grew up in a household where divorce was always forbidden, never allowed under any circumstances. And circumstances for her became so bad that divorce became the lesser of evils. And here we begin our reading. Here is his mother. Her name is Rose, and she's feeling guilty. This is the day of her divorce. Here we go. Rose Mason turned off the alarm clock 1 hour before it was to buzz her awake. She had not slept, and she knew that she would not sleep. There was simply no point in lying in bed. This was the last day that she would wake as a married woman. She threw off her covers, pushed herself up, slipped her feet into her worn, blue, fuzzy slippers. Next, she grabbed her rope from the chair next to her bed and wrapped it around her, covering her flannel nightgown. The 64-year-old woman walked to the kitchen of her house and began heating her tea water. This had been her mother's house until 12 years ago, when her mother left it to her, even as her mother had inherited it from her mother. She next filled a Mr. Coffee pot with grounds and water before turning it on. She knew that her son would be wanting coffee as soon as he arrived. Rose felt gratitude when he had told her that she would be coming to accompany her to court. His schedule was always busy, but he had assured his mother that he would be here for her. She walked onto the back porch and looked into the yard at the flowers that she and her husband had planted through the years. The tulips had already bloomed and were beyond their peak. Irises were just poking their way through the soil. There were hundreds of blossoms on the rose bushes, but no roses yet. For that, she would have to wait another month. This porch had always been her favorite room. Every warm summer evening, she had sat here behind the screen, sipping tea. Well, it had been her choice of rooms, but no longer. One night over a year ago, something had happened that had taken her joy away from this place. She never spoke of it, tried not to think of it. Now she was still feeling the aftershocks. With her tea water heating and her coffee brewing, she walked toward the bathroom to prepare for the day. She stood over the sink and looked into the mirror. Tears came quickly. Oh God, am I doing the right thing? Is this the right thing to do? No answer came. Now, hear a little bit about her son, William, who goes by Will. William Mason, for the third time in the last 5 minutes, had to shift his Subaru from second gear back down to first. He hated traffic. Every time he began to miss living in North Jersey, he reminded himself of what traffic was like. It was different from the emptiness of the roads around his home in Pennsylvania. He'd grown up in the suburbs of Newark, but had been thrilled at the chance to leave for the more rural areas of eastern Pennsylvania. Now he was back into it, coming to support his mother, who was struggling with guilt, loss, rejection. He felt his anger toward his father and Charles, who Will referred to as the predator. He felt guilt at letting his anger surface. This trip was not about him, it was about and for his mother. He needed to put his feelings aside. Oh God, keep my mother from guilt. Protect her from the two of them who have done her so much harm. He's feeling guilty for being angry. She's feeling guilty for getting a divorce. What do you feel guilty about? Were you raised in a religious home where you were not allowed to be yourself? That was very restrictive or abusive? When you got out of there, did you feel guilt about doing some things that you hadn't been allowed to do? Well, all of us have some amount of guilt. I hope that this book can be a catalyst for the reader to overcome guilt. Thrive. Be your best self, that you may more fully honor God. I do hope you will prayerfully consider purchasing a copy of this book, Out of the Wilderness, Honoring His Abusive Christian Father and Mother. It is by Christian Faith Publishers. You may find it at Barnes & Noble, on their website, or certainly Amazon website as well. I do thank you for listening to this first of 7 book readings. I'm Reverend Mark William Ennis. I wish you God's richest blessing.